really smooth into this as we approach 9:30, just to give those people a minute to get on. But we'll get rolling now. We have a guest, Mike Wiles, Coast to Coast Lending, with this morning will be with us. So we will be talking with him shortly. Couple things to start off with. You heard Craig mention in the meeting, if you are a top agent, if you're a top producer and you have an invite to Hawaii, if you have an invite to go to Hawaii for a master's level or up, we typically pay for your room, 2 nights worth of the room there. So you get a credit for that, and we'll buy your ticket. If you're a Centurion level producer or higher, we'll typically offset the room cost for 2 nights and your airfare with the ticket. So that's something that we'll typically do. We're still doing that, but if you wanted to, if you already have a ticket for the Tony Robbins UPW, we will offset that cost by what the cost of the ticket with the cost of the ticket and the rooms that we would get for Hawaii. So if that's something you bought a ticket for, reach out to me and let me know. We'll get that coordinated and we'll offset that cost. But that's going to be predicated on us canceling everything that you have in Hawaii as well, so that we're not so that you don't have to pay for that and we don't have to pay for both of them. All right, so that's something we can help you out and do with. That would be awesome. That's an amazing opportunity. I appreciate and thank every single one of you for jumping on that meeting last week. That was a great turnout. We had over 75 people on the meeting, 75 people that were willing to take that opportunity to better themselves, better their life, better their business, and just figure out what is, everybody knows that there's always a little bit better they could do every day. You just work on being 1% better today, 1% better tomorrow. At the end of the year, that's 365% better. If you just worked on everyone a little bit every single day, and guess what? It's okay to fall short some days. It's okay to have a bad day. Everybody has them. But why do we beat ourselves up for one bad day when there's 364 more days? You've heard the saying about the $86,400? Who's heard that? Who's heard about $86,400? Mike has. Every day, what would you say if I gave you $86,400 deposited into your bank account every single morning? Every morning, what would you say? Every morning, you get $86,400. Every single morning. Every single morning. We don't miss a morning. At 12:01 a.m., you get $86,400 every morning in your bank account. How happy would you be? If you knew you were getting $86,400 the very next morning, would it really care if you spent it all in one day? Now, what would you do? What would you do if somebody stole $100 of your $86,400? If somebody stole it, what would you do? What would you do? I'd probably offer them another $100 on top of that, right? But the point is, you wouldn't throw away the $86,300 that's in your bank account just because somebody stole $100, right? Well, guess how many seconds you get in every single day? 86,400 seconds in every single day. That's what's deposited into your personal time bank account every single morning. 86,400 seconds every single day. But too many of us are throwing away 86,300 seconds because of 100 seconds of some POS shitty experience with a seller, a canceled deal, somebody cut me off, somebody pissed me off, told me this, did that, my wife, my husband, my kids, this guy, some people we don't even know, when we're throwing away 86,300 seconds of our day because of one interaction, right? So just think of that. Think of that. Would you, if it was money, why do we value money so much more? Their statements say time is money, right? And if you're throwing away the rest of your time, you're throwing away an opportunity for the rest of the opportunities to make that money. So just think of that. Why would you be so quick to do that? So just think of that the next time somebody makes you upset. Hey, I got another 86,300 coming around. I'm not going to waste them on this guy right here. Because that's literally what we do. We end up wasting 86,300 seconds the rest of our day. How many times have you had something happen to you? I was talking with somebody and they lost an opportunity. And at the end of the day, we're still, I'm really disappointed. I wish you would have did this. I would have the rest of the day. What would have happened if you would have ran into somebody else later that day that wanted to list or buy or sell a home and you were in that kind of a mood already? Do you think you could have seen that opportunity? Do you think you might have missed it? because you were too busy stewing on the opportunity that you lost? This business is full of no's. Business is full of that's not even rejection. It's just they don't need my help, and that's okay. It doesn't matter that 100 seconds it took them to say no or to tell you that I'm going to go in a different direction. That's okay because there's somebody else around the corner. You heard Craig say we just uploaded like 60,000 database leads into the database in Zap. One of our agents put thousands of leads into their database. Do you want to know what this kid did? No, you don't? All right, I won't tell you. That's fine. You don't need to know. You don't need to know how to get all those extra opportunities.
Hey, Chris, why don't you let us know? Chris, why don't you let us know?
Does anybody want to know how he got a potentially tens of thousands of leads put into his database? Yes? Oh, no, that's not a rhetorical question. That's a yes or no answer. Do you want to know? He went into Remine, and in Remine, you can export out owners' names, emails, and phone numbers. He exported owner name, phone numbers, and emails and uploaded them into Zap. Thousands of them. And if they're not right, who cares? And then he put them on a drip campaign, and they're going to get an email from him once a week, once every other week, once a month that shows his face. They're going to get an invite to his website. And the people that it's important to are the people it's important to. And the people that it's not. And that's okay. Either one is okay. You have to shift your mindset. Either one is okay. Tell me no, tell me yes. Either way, tell me so I can, number one, get you out of my database and I stop wasting 86,400 seconds on you. Or tell me yes, and I'll start dedicating 86,400 seconds to you every day. Either way is okay. But that's what this kid did. He said, I don't have a big sphere. I don't have a ton of people I know. What can I do? Hey, can I do this? Absolutely, go for it. I didn't know he's going to do tens of thousands of them. And either way, I don't care, but that because he's thinking outside the box. And he said, how can I create? What did Craig say? The activities in any market are dictated by the activities of the agent in that market. What happens, I'll tell you personally, over the winter time, like holiday time, what typically happens? What? For you, maybe. What typically happens? Slows down. I mean, and that's not, everybody says it slows down. It slows down. It only slows down if you slow down. The winter months have always been my busiest time when I was actively seeking and prospecting. I did more business from October, November, December, and January than I ever did the rest of the year. I did the majority of my business during that time. Why? Because I don't slow down and everybody else does. So if this is a race, who's going to win? This guy right here. Because I decided I'm going to put the pedal to the metal, and I don't stop. I don't downshift into fourth gear. I sit there and I keep pummeling in fifth gear and just keep the pedal to the metal and keep going. And guess what? I have an opportunity to do over that time that you don't have the rest of the year. I have a reason to talk to them. October, Halloween, post a funny picture. Send me a picture of the costume that you're going to create this year, and then send me a picture of what it actually turned out like. Then tell me about your neighborhood. Do you like kids? Do you guys give out full-size candy bars? I've got a reason to reach out to them and talk to them, whether it's social media or phone call. Thanksgiving, I have a reason to reach out and talk to them and say thank you so much for being a part of my life. It's a time of Thanksgiving, gratitude, and I can give them that, and I don't have to sell them a damn thing, but I could touch base with them. But typically, what happens when you talk with somebody? What do you ask them? How's it going? And then if I ask them how it's going, what are they? Oh yeah, how things been with you? Busy, crazy, market's been nuts. I'm sure you blah blah. I don't want to bore you with all that. And guess what? Some of them may say, "Oh, it's not a bore. We were actually talking about, or thinking about, or I was wondering, or is our investment good?" But they're going to ask questions about that. And then even if they're just saying, "Oh, my mortgage, this, da 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 da," I've got a resource I can point them to get a lower interest rate potentially. So you have so many opportunities. Then what do you have after Thanksgiving? Christmas Eve, Christmas, New Year's. So right there, I mean, that's at least 5 opportunities over a 2.5 month span that I have to touch base with them over that time. And I don't have to feel sleazy about it because I can just pick up the phone and call them and they're already in my database. And anybody else I run into, whether it's at a gas station, at a grocery store, whatever, happy holidays. How are you today? How's everything going? Everything good? Family's good, everybody? It doesn't matter. I can just talk to them and I can have an open conversation with them because it's easy. So you don't have to get into politics. You don't have to get into any of that stuff. You can just have an open conversation. So you have those opportunities. Turn opening out of town. UPW did that. Remind NLU. Make sure you watch out for that. We're going to have you're going to be able to log in and actually register for those classes. September 20th, 21st, and 22nd is when the class is going to be. So make sure that you sign up for those. And then lastly, congrats to our top agents for the month of August. Heidi said not in the room. There you are online. Congrats, girl. 3 new listings and 8 open sides of business. Great job, girl. That's awesome. And then we also have most closed units. Kalani Heyman, Maritza Ortiz, and John Evans closed 4 deals in the month of August. That's awesome. Very good, guys. And then Kalani Heyman, most closed commissions. Dude, that's 2 or 3 months in a row that you've been up there, Kalani. So I don't want you to give anybody an opportunity, but I'd like to see who wants to knock her off the pedestal because she's riding high. Somebody's got to take it upon themselves. Hey, let's catch up. All right, so I'd like to see a new name up there. No offense, Kalani, but hey, great job, girl. Great job. Amazing. Thank you so much. All right, so then with that being said, we have a guest. We have Mike Wiles. I know as soon as you sat down to put the yeah, that's what I did. We got Mike Wiles with Coast to Coast Lending. So in our quest to continue to bring you more value and bring you more opportunities, we were blessed with the opportunity when this man came in and said he wanted to be a part of this organization with his organizations and provide us with more value. The guy communicates like nobody else. He's a workhorse. If you ever drive by here, first truck here, last truck out, almost every single time. And even sometimes on the weekend, you'll catch him here. Not a lot, but every now and then. The guy's a workhorse. So if you ever need any help, please reach out to Mike. And he's trying to continue to branch out to be of more value to every single one of our offices. So, Mike, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, not much. If you saw me here Sunday, I was doing the draft, so I don't want to make it seem like
I need a better internet connection, so I came up to do a draft.
But I did do some work while I was here, but the internet, it does help to have multiple screens going. But and I got to watch some of the games. I mean, a little bit of selfishness, but yes, we try to be here and do whatever's necessary. Sometimes I have, especially Heidi will call me. She'll call me and she'll want a scenario, and I'm like, I gotta look that up.
I was actually going to say Heidi had 8 open sides, and guess who the majority of them probably went to if they weren't already with somebody else, or the majority of the questions probably goes to this guy right here.
That's why I want to be available. Is you can ask me sometimes, text me, send me something that you don't understand. I ran a scenario by someone I've done business with forever in Jacksonville this morning on some crazy scenarios out in Arizona, and I was like, well, let me think about that. But that's what we want. We want to do that. I'm trying to go to each location for this group as much as possible and get to know people because I think that's the best way. Just over time, I don't want to be, someone's, what. But I'm basically just going to be here to help. So, but I do have some good news. There are some things that have really I knew they were coming, and it's gotten better. Jumbo, which everybody in this market's probably seeing a lot of it. Some exciting ones we saw last week is that there is a lower credit score for Jumbo. I've seen a 620, which is kind of crazy. There are some variables we'd have to go over and some income. But there are a lot of good things for you. I just did a Jumbo the other day. Perfect refi Jumbo. Not required.
What are the limits for Jumbo? Just so we know, if we're looking at a certain loan level, what is the Jumbo limit?
So anything over 585 or 565 right now is going to be Jumbo. Sorry, 545, 200 and something for this area. Okay, and that's going to be considered Jumbo loan. Okay, so you can do it in multiple ways, which we talked about before. You can do a piggyback second, so 10% down, 10% second, and then a regular conventional loan. But now the Jumbo is actually pretty good. I mean, the rates were almost exact to a conventional mortgage.
That's awesome.
So I mean, I did 3.125.
Wow.
On a Jumbo loan, the loan was $750,000. So
does anybody realize, John? I'm sure you do because you were in the car business. What the implications of an interest rate at 3% for $700,000 as opposed to what would you typically normally see in an average market for a Jumbo rate?
Most of the time, you're talking the fours, and then a lot of it has no or limited MI mortgage insurance. So it's a good deal right now.
It's an amazing deal. What is that? 1% interest on our average price is around 330ish or so. A 1% interest difference rate is about between 3 and 4%. That difference is about $250 a month. 230 to 260 a month around. That's a huge difference on a normal loan. So when you talk about $700,000 and 1% interest every single month makes a huge difference.
It's a big savings. And there's a lot of good things coming out because obviously the market is drastically changing. But especially here where we got good things going on. So a lot of your buyers that are looking at this stuff and they're worried about this or that concern, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. So it's not like before when you got into the $700,000 loan, they needed 100 grand in the bank and all that. You don't need all that. Typically, they're looking at 6 months reserves for those. So, so they put 10% down and 6 months reserves, or even five well qualified buyers. Now it's obviously easier. I'm doing one that's much easier where there's a ton of money in the bank, but that's not always the case. And a lot of them have good loans, good options for this. So I don't want you to. I want us to, because you're in this market and it's so crazy right now that there's a lot of loans. Like I talked to several people over the weekend that are refining over here in Waterset, and they bought their house for 350, and they're all appraising for 415. These aren't the big ones with the pools and all this stuff. The values have drastically gone up. I had talked to three people. All of them had their properties. I didn't do the loan. I just met them randomly yesterday. But all of them were in the 415 range. They've all been 300, 350 less than a year ago. So they're seeing dramatic increase, which is great for everybody else. But it's all there. So I want to be, what things came up, or I didn't bring my cards today. I didn't bring my cards, but I want someone, tell me something that happened last week. Tell me some scenario that you had a question.
Online, if you have you run into anything, what kind of loan questions do you have, or just property related questions that you may have that you can ask Mike? Anybody in the room? Different types of loan scenarios. Buyer said this, that, the other.
Good.
Joe?
Yep. Yep. Not a problem. You can do it. Yeah, the only time you run into problems with manufactured homes are the really old ones, single wides. Anything older than 2000 becomes hard, only because it's life expectancy of the property. So, like, if the appraiser goes out there and then this thing's about to fall down, you're only going to get 5 years out of it. Then the loan can only be so small. So that's the only time. But as long as it's a livable one that's properly tied down, then it's fine. Yeah, we do.
As far as mobile homes, does every loan require an engineer report for the tie downs and structure?
So, that's kind of strange. I've ran that more this year. FHA requires all your government-backed loans, FHA, VA, they all require the engineer cert. Okay, conventional does not, but the time conventional does are when they've done other things to the property. So if they built a porch, or I've had people and they built like they attached a carport to it, or something has structurally altered the shape of the property or the dimensions of the property, then you're going to need an engineer cert. It's not necessarily, I think most of them, we have a whole group that goes out there anywhere. They're pretty quick. As long as they haven't done anything crazy, or it's surprisingly, I've had them go out and all they did was say, look, you can't do that. Just fix it. It's like they had cinder blocks stacked on top of each other for the porch, not concrete ones, just stacked.
You can't.
And it was like obvious stuff you just can't do. But that's usually fixable. The good thing about it is that they haven't messed with the actual house. Everything else is a trip to Home Depot and you're back to normal.
What's the typical cost of that engineer certification for
like $300? It's around 300.
So just make sure if you have an FHA or VA borrower, they're going to have to pay an additional $300 for an engineer certification inspection of the property for the foundation tie downs and everything on it, on top of all of their normal inspections. So it is a few extra bucks. Online, I got what are the credit score and financial requirements for a HELOC or cash out to remodel a home when it's owned with no mortgage?
Well, that one's pretty easy. That would just be pretty much a normal loan. I mean, really, your cash out usually is a quarter. Like, say if the rate was 3, the cash out. If you go max cash out, so 80%, you're going to be right at that 3.25. If you're looking at 70, 60, 50, because it's all based on risk. So a 50 LTV loan to value loan is less risk than a 60 and a 70 and an 80. Lenders, when you cross that 75 to 80 threshold, there's a bigger hit. If you're at 70 to 75, there's a lesser hit. And I think the next one is like 60. So each level of risk adjusts the rate, but it shouldn't be that much. And right now, it's still really low. So if you're looking last week's average across the country, you can look it up at thinkrate.com. It was like 3.04 for good credit, good credit, that sort of thing. And so your estimate for cash outs, max cash out should be around 3.25 for decent credit.
And time frame to get that done? Are they taking longer than a normal
A lot of people
loan?
are. We just did one. I did one 21 days. So it's not, as long as the appraiser, we get the appraisal. We order the appraisal immediately. I closed a VA last month in 22 days.
How do you do that?
So-
So tell me what you're doing different than everybody else, so they can understand the timeline and processes, what some lenders do, and the way that you operate it. That way you can get it done quicker.
So it's crazy. I just had this, but I'll explain some of the. I worked at a big bank, so they are what they are. But a big bank, when you have like a process, they make a process. So if you have a big bank and you have someone that you might have someone that does one job and all they do is FHA case numbers. That's that job. That person does that every day, 365 days a year, and then she hands it off to the next person who does this. So it's like a little factory. You know, we don't do that. Pretty much the people you see here are the people that do it. The underwriter outside of this office sees your file maybe a day or two, and we do the rest. So we're going to order the transcripts. Day one, Wendy or Karen are going to order your transcripts, with the IRS transcripts, order your appraisal, order your title, all that's done.
Day one.
So
day one, when they get the file and they create a file and a formal application, fill that day one. That's the difference between most lenders and what a good lender does. A good lender processes to completion ASAP. Other lenders are taking their time and processing by closing date. So you'll see some that don't even put it into underwriting till 10, 14, 15 days into the process, because they don't want to waste their time if the inspection's not done and the buyer's going to cancel or the closing date is too far out. So they're going to focus on the other ones. He's saying, look, let's get it all done up front so nobody's sitting around waiting, and at the last minute we're not trying to piece this together.
Well, that's what's terrible for you guys. You'll have some file, all of a sudden you get to the end and the transcripts aren't back. Like that. Or the appraisal or the title work's not back. That's the stuff that makes you crazy, because you're like, why wasn't this done day one? Well, for instance, a good friend of mine, I've known him for 10 plus years, works at a big corp here. They're huge. He sends, I would not mention his name because he sends anybody that he knows to me, and I do all his for that reason, because we're done quick, and everybody's communicating, everybody's doing it fast. It's not that their rates are similar. Everybody's rates are similar. You're all within an age group with each other normally. But it comes down to how fast you want something done and whether you want it to be communicated. So I think that's on that one. I think your question on
this was the question was loans to rehab a foreclosure with a bad roof or renovation loans.
So here's the thing: renovation loans, we do them, okay. But here's your only challenge with renovation, which I brought up before. I think is like if you get what they call a 203K loan, you have to have a contract. That is you know what a general contractor does here? General contractor does not actually do the work. They hold a huge insurance policy and they pass a few tests. Okay. That person then hires a subcontractor who actually does the work, who might hire another subcontractor who might also do the work. And by the time you get to Joe, who's out there doing your roof, it's 3 people removed. Everybody's going to get paid. I can do them. They are more expensive and there is more of a process. If the house just needs a roof, AC, let's say less than $10,000 or $15,000 of anything else, we can escrow it. It's a repair escrow. It's the same loan. Now on a 203K loan, you're talking a point higher in interest. It will 100% be a point higher.
And additional cost of closing, correct?
And additional costing, because you have repair escrow. You got to have multiple. You have to probably have 2 or 3 appraisals done, multiple inspections, and then they got like a drawing fee. Basically, every time the contractor gets to a point, so it depends on the level of work. I have done them. I've done multiple ones. I really get nervous unless the person involved is actually a contractor or they have that level of expertise, because it gets scary. I'd rather have someone go get a house, and a roof's easy. Like the roof repairs are easy. I mean, that truly is. Any contract, get a contractor, get them involved. Either talk to them or they can call me directly. We will wait till we have loan approval, and he can do it before and get paid at closing, or we can have title hold that escrow money, get it done in the next 2 weeks, pull the permits, be ready to go, and then do it right afterwards. I've done it both ways. I'd rather see that than if you go with a contractor, you're going to it will cost you a lot more money. So, and the limit for 203K for a normal 203K is 35,000. But you said that sounds like a lot, right? Well, you got to hold back 10% of that for reserves in case something happens. They open up a roof and all of a sudden it's got bad wood underneath. Okay. So then you're down to about 30, 31,000. GC is going to take 5, 10 of that. And you got 20,000 to do the work and you still have to go through all the process and you're paying more in interest. And a point in interest on 300,000 is a lot of money. So I'm not saying not to do it. That can be done. It's a unique circumstances when you have to go that far. If it's like a septic, I've had a septic replaced, I've had a well replaced, I've had all that stuff done under repair escrow. Usually it's much quicker. You can call Joe instead of calling Jimmy or whoever at the GC level. Call Joe and say, "Hey, look, you do this, right? Okay, good. Get 3 quotes, figure out the one you want."
The contract also dictates how that process would go with repair escrows. If it's outside of a loan type process, it's 125% of the total cost put into escrow. If the cost exceeds that, the seller is to pay the difference. If it's below that, they'll use whatever amount of the 125% that was put in to pay for it, give the seller the remaining bit that was left. That
Yeah.
the contract dictates how that would be handled if you have a repair escrow.
Yeah, you got our. I mean, we do have some older people here, or people are in a bad situation, or don't have the ability to fix what they know is wrong. Don't stop. That's okay. I think that would be a better thing for me. If I was going to look at a house, I loved everything about it, and I hated the roof, but I didn't have the money to buy the roof and do all that. And the seller says, "Hey, look, I'll do a repair escrow for it. I've gotten quotes. Here's how much. I don't have that money. You get a brand new roof, and then when they do the appraisal deal, count for that new roof." I mean, my brother's house we did in North Carolina about a year or two ago, same thing. They needed a brand new roof. He was a renter. He wanted to buy the house. They want to move. We did a repair escrow. They did it right before closing. Closed. Roof was done. Thing closed. Closed next day. We're all good.
If as a seller, as a listing agent, it just makes more sense to line everything up. And the contractor's not going to do the work until they know they have a contract. 2 weeks before closing, they'll typically do. They'll get the permits. They'll have a contract signed. You'll have your contract signed with the roofer. You'll have the contract for your property go under contract. They'll get to 2 weeks prior to closing. The permits and everything will be filed. Everything will be ready to go. Once they have a better idea that this is probably closing because you're 10 days to 2 weeks out, they'll start doing the work on the roof, replace it, and then they get paid from the title company. So there's no question that the seller is going to give them their money if you're going to do a paid at closing with a roofer. A lot of roofers do that. We've got quite a few. So if you happen to need a roof as a seller, it makes sense to line that up first, and you can market it with a brand new roof. The seller doesn't have to come out of pocket. You use the proceeds from the sale, and you get more money for it.
Right. And they're going to get more money. That roofer not going to necessarily mind. They're going to get more money than the subcontract job they got with the builder. So it's not out of the question to get it done.
And if in this case, since it's a foreclosure, that's going to be a little bit of a
difficult
concern. But if your buyer has the ability to, you could work out a payment plan with a roofer, line it up before you make an offer, make the offer, get it under contract, find an insurance carrier that will do a renovation policy, which means that it's an old roof, it's a bad roof. You'll still write your insurance for the first 30 to 60 days. And then you have 30 to 60 days to replace the roof after you close on it. And if you don't, then they will drop you and you'll have no insurance. You'll have force placed insurance from your lender, which is going to be astronomical. But hey, whatever gets the job done. And it's your duty to take care of those things afterwards.
Let me ask a question on the foreclosures you guys are running into. Are a lot of them like, are they HUD? Are they?
I'm not seeing a ton.
I haven't seen a lot.
I don't see a lot. Most of the ones that we see are complete, like usually mostly complete disrepair.
Okay.
Like, a lot of them are like, it's something that's been going on for a little while. And then every now and then you find one that has an issue that needs some work. But most of the ones they've got, it's probably not most of the time I'm not seeing it's just as simple as a roof. It's usually going to need more renovation and it's not really your everyday borrower.
I haven't had to do this in a while, but I have. I've talked to the banks and mostly. Guess what? The bank doesn't want the house. They don't. That's the last thing in the world they want. And if they're having a problem, most of them have. I knew a guy that did HUD contracting. He'd go in and fix these things up to the level that they're required. I don't know that that's out of the realm of possibilities with a bank if they're at a certain point. If the house is sitting for long enough, I don't know why we wouldn't ask. You could also do a buyer escrow, which isn't as common, but it can be done. Where the buyer, if it was down to that wire, I would have the conversation with the bank and say, "Hey, look, we can do it one or two ways, but we both know this needs to be done. You want to get rid of the property, and they want to buy the property. I would at least run that by them before we start down that road, because HUD especially will do something if the roof is that bad, because they're liable and they're the government. They're going to take less risk than a normal seller will if there's a real problem. Now, I can't speak for everyone. It depends on who you get. But I used to know a few people that were in that business, and that's particularly what they did. They actually contract direct with HUD to fix things.
Any other questions or anything you've run into in the last week or so, or with loans, with appraisals, with issues, anything like that?
What about what would help you? Anything that I could do to help you that you think that would be useful? I'm always trying to listen to what we are doing and what could be done differently. So if any of you, like I said, on the weekends, you can text me. That's probably the easiest way. I've also got a link I've sent out to a few people. Like the app is getting much better. I know it. You don't need another app on your phone. I hate having apps on my phone. But the app does allow where you can send out something and it would show your face directly as a request for pre-approval. Hey, pre-approved. Hey, look, I'll just send you this link and it's easy. Plus, you'd be able to track once your buyer applies, you get notification. Once they went to underwriting, you get as much notification as you want. All don't want more notification, I'm sure, but along the line, we are trying to do more of that. I see more of you have used list reports. That's great. You want that? Use it all you want. If there's some other one, I got hit on one the other day on rate plug or something else. I'll work on that one. But I want to be a resource and help wherever I can.
Cool. Awesome. Do you do vacant land loans, construction perm loans? Do you do those too?
Vacant land, we don't do vacant land. Land loans, this is the bottom line on that. Your credit union, Regions was doing them. I don't think they're doing them anymore. I can't quote that, but I heard someone tell me that the other day. It's 20% down for most land loans. Just today I had 20. We do a lot of marketing everywhere, but 25 leads came in for me over the weekend. Out of those 25 leads, 3 people were asking for construction. Okay. Problem is, nobody really has the money for construction that are reaching out. I mean, because you need to have adequate resources to do it. You're looking at typically around 30%. And the CTP loans, they're not as common right now. There are some, but you really got to be qualified. I mean, the VA has one, but VA puts a ton of pressure on the contractor. Like the contractor's got to be licensed and insured an insane amount that some contractors will just, I'm not doing that.
I don't want to mess with it.
So we don't see a lot of that, but the CTP loan is there. It's 30%, 20% down, 10% reserves. Plus, if you own any other properties, you need reserves for that through the life of the loan, life of the construction. And it's an interest-only loan up front and then that. When I tell people that ask about CTP loans, they're like, oh, okay, I don't want to do that. What other options you got?
That's construction to perm, right? For those who are not following, just construction to perm.
Yeah.
Just to make sure, that's where you could lock up a piece of vacant land, have a contractor with a contract to build a property, take your 30-day due diligence, make sure everything makes sense, submit the contract to build with the contract for the vacant land to underwriting, get an appraisal for the land, get an appraisal for the final product, and get it all approved with your qualifications.
And think about it right now. I mean, the CTP loan, you are going to have more reserves than normal because what happens if wood prices go up again? What if they change? What if labor shortage dries up? I mean, the risk for a CTP loan right now is massive because builders will tell you the builder package on my house they said was $40,000 when they bought it. It'd be $90,000 now. It's just the wood, not the nails, not the hangers, not one other thing. They're talking double the price. So that is a super risky loan that somebody will have to be really well qualified. It'd be easier for them to get a jumbo. It's much easier to get a jumbo loan. I mean, it's crazy. They can buy a $300,000 boat and they're going to get a CTP loan. So I mean, that's what is the truth right now.
Anything else?
All right, don't leave all this food. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's food up front.
Food. I try to cover everybody. My man right here always sits right here. Yeah, no fruit.
So grab some food up here up front if you need anything. Mike Wiles, I put his number in the chat. I'll also send out an email with his contact information so you have that again. Guys, if you need anything else, please reach out to us. Have a happy Tuesday.